Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Way That I See It. My name is Lucy Superfox, and this is my podcast. So on this episode, I want to talk about a couple of things, but the first kind of real theme that I really want to touch on is that a new year does not make a new you, and how that works, why that works, the science behind that. And then I want to talk a little bit about some of my tips as you head into the brand new year and how you can really set yourself up for success, for strength, for transformation, whatever your goals might be. So first things first, let's talk a little bit about the science of change. And you guys know that I'm obsessed with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm obsessed with a lot of theologians, metaphysicians, scientists, because what they have done is been able to prove a lot of what is quite spiritual woo-woo fluff and actually prove it and make it scientific. So let's talk a little bit about the mind. I will simplify it because often I go on a tangent and then I won't be able to come back. But also because you're listening to this probably while you're driving or doing your ironing and you'll be like, what? Do I need a pen and paper? So first things first, we are a result today of every single thought, every single feeling, every single action, every single habit, every single behavior we have had up to this point, both in terms of our internal state as a result of all those things and our outward life experience. So we are attracting, manifesting, creating, and having based on what we believe we can have, what we based on believe we can achieve, based on what we believe is possible for us, based on the way that we think, the way we act, and the way we feel on a daily basis. So if you can understand that premise, that your outward life is a direct representation of your internal life, then the rest of this podcast will make sense. If you can't wrap your head around that, then I first want you to really try, because when you believe that life is happening to you, when you believe that life is outside of your control, you will always be a victim to your circumstance, and you will always be a victim to what is happening in the world. When you accept that you are the one that's responsible, and by that doesn't mean fault, that doesn't mean, it's your problem. What it means is it's in your power, it's in your hands to be able to transform, shift, and create change in 2024, because of the fact that you recognize that when you change your internal environment, you can change your internal thought process, feelings, you will change your outward actions, you will change your outward energy, and therefore you will change your results. So if we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts in a day, and we do, that's just on average, and 95% of those thoughts are the same as the day before, which they are, because most of us are creatures of habit, creatures of routine. And like I said, every single thought, feeling, habit, behavior that we have thought up to this point is actually in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is a direct representation in our current life. So if you want to know what you're thinking, look at your current life, right? It's a great way to see it. And so from that place, you then are able to say, okay, right, so I'm thinking 95% of the same thoughts as the day before. You've then got 95% against 5%. So 95% of you is programmed, is created. And from that programming, you're creating 95% of your life. You then have a 5% capacity on a daily basis to create change, right? So this is why a lot of people go to create a transformation program or jump into something. And the truth is they find it difficult because you've got 5% newness, conscious mind against 95% program. So it's not that you don't have willpower. It's not that you're not strong enough. It's not that you don't want it bad enough, although I'll talk about desire in a bit. And if I forget, I'll cover it on the next podcast. But actually the fact that you're fighting programming. And this is where, when you're looking to make any transformation, whether it's in body, business, relationships, especially with money, right? And especially with business growth, because they are direct representations of our inner worth and how we feel about ourselves. If you are programmed to be in lack, to believe you're not good enough, to believe that things never work out for you, then that is what you're going to get. So it doesn't matter how much efforting you apply. It doesn't matter how many new habits you try to form. If your inner world, your inner belief system, and therefore your inner motivation, to use that word, is always going to be fighting and always going to be winning. And so it's not a new year, new you. It's a new year, and it'll be the same fucking you unless you actually change your inner programming and you change the way you think, you change the way you feel. And look, you can change the action from that 5%. You absolutely can. And you, don't get me wrong, you can create some momentum in that. But if you are looking for long-term sustainable change, like you're looking for a long-term growth in your business, not just a little bump, you're looking for a long-term transformation in body, not just to lose 5 pounds and then gain it back again a month later, whatever the goal is, you are having to create something that you can do on repeat, because we are what we repeatedly do. That's an Aristotle quote. But we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly be. We are who we become. And so if you are looking to create a newer version of yourself, but, and I hate the word better. Better is just a shit word, a bit like consistency. Blah. If you are looking to create growth, success, abundance, transformation, then you are going to have to be the kind of person and become the kind of person who has the transformation, who has the success, who has the growth, who has the abundance. And that comes from changing the inner programming, not just changing what you do on the outside, but also by changing the inner programming, what you do on the outside feels easier. It feels chill. Like, guys, today recording this podcast, this is like my 8th video I've recorded. I've drafted 4 emails. I've updated some things on the website. And like all in the space of like 2.5 hours. Now, do have ADHD, do get hyperfocus, and today has definitely been a good day. But what I want you to know is that's because I have the work on the outside is easier when I've programmed the inside. So last night before bed, I jotted all my thoughts down. I jotted down some objectives, what I wanted to gain. I woke up this morning, had a fizz, sat down there and was like, right, what do I want to share today? Like I set myself up strong, and I've got deeper programming that knows that I have good days and I have not so good days. But on those good days, I'm capable of so much. And what we have to know is that our inner programming is always running the show. So you can make instant, emotional, powerful decisions to change. And those inflection moments, those moments are so powerful because they are those moments that you remember where you go, you know, I call it your enough moment, like Love Actually, when he goes enough now, he shows her the cards and then walks off, says enough now. That's the same thing. You can have those moments, but what you do after that moment, how you change after that moment, what you choose to do after that moment is the thing that creates the transformation and change, not the moment itself. And I think what most people are missing is realizing that it's not about what we do, it's about who we become. It's not about the new action we take, it's about the programming that we create. And so if you are looking to become a new version of yourself, and whatever that looks like for you, like I said, success, transformation, growth, abundance, then you are going to have to shift the internal world in order to shift your outward reality, at the same time as maybe taking some newer outward actions that, whilst you're doing the programming, join together to form this really powerful belief system and this really powerful momentum towards your goals and dreams. I said this earlier on a little live, like hope and faith are not the same things. A lot of people hope that this new year will be different. They hope this will be the year that they change. Faith is powerful belief that you will, because you have massive desire. Oh, look, we've come back around. Good, glad. Massive desire, and you decide to take action. So this is something else to think about. I don't want you to change because you think it's a good idea, the right thing to do, the next thing to do, what you should do, what people expect of you. I want you to change because you want to change. Because the truth is, unless you actually deeply want to change, what is the fucking point? Like, what's the point? Unless you deeply, truly want to change, why would you put yourself through hell? Like, a lot of people believe that because it's January, they should lose weight. Look, am I saying that, you know, you should live unhealthy and be overweight? No. But am I saying you should want to change? Yeah. Because if we're living our lives based on other people's expectations, what happens is we get a disconnect between our identity and the life that we're currently living. And this is why a lot of people lose happiness based on this feeling of should and expectation. Whereas when you change because you actually want to, what you actually unlock as well is you unlock that deeper part of yourself that is willing to actually rise above the noise in the subconscious mind and is willing to do more things. This is what people believe willpower is, by the way, is willing to rise above the programming. So it's not that you have to wait to do the programming to create the change. You start taking the action, the big desire rises up in you that allows you to create the momentum. And then you work through the programming to in line with the direction you're trying to go, right? And if you're watching some video, I'm doing some circly thing with my finger. And so if you don't have the desire to change, if that desire isn't your own, I'd really reevaluate what your goals are and resolutions are, because otherwise you won't be happy when you get it anyway, because it wasn't what you really wanted. Number 2, you'll look back at your life and think, how the hell did I get here? And I've talked about the nervous breakdown. I've talked about moving away from our inner self and our inner direction a lot on this podcast. So if you haven't found that, you can scroll through the episodes. But if there's no desire, especially if you have ADHD, if there is no real desire, if there's no real like ugh about it, it's not going to happen, because you can't change based on logic and obligation, because there's not enough momentum to get going. And this is where your programming will take over. Now, if you are shit hot on the programming, again, you've got to want to change the programming. So if there's no desire to change, the programming won't change, because your autopilot will kick in every time. And this is why people have a few good days and then they revert back to how they used to be, whether it's with food or business or procrastination or whatever it is, because the programming, the autopilot will always step in. It will step in when you are tired. It will step in when you've had a bad day. It will step in when you get triggered. It will step in all the time. And our job instead is to reprogram what autopilot looks like by making those inner shifts and transforming that inner programming. Guys, this is why I do what I do. This is the time of year where I get to let out all my anger at the things that, don't necessarily work long term, and where I actually get to show up for you and say, I am telling you, if you do this, this, and this, so figure out what it is you really want, shift your inner desires, and then take action from a place of presence and being fully in it, like intention, you will change your life. I can absolutely guarantee if you do those 3 things, you will change your life. But the challenge is programming can sometimes be so overwhelming that it needs a stick of dynamite to be set up under its ass and blow it up. So we actually create change. And this is why I've created the programs that I have. This is why the 6-week shift exists. If your goal right now is to step into your power, you're someone who's ready to grow and go, and you're ready to step into authenticity, this is where the becoming course exists. If you're someone right now that knows they're ready to heal, who feels wounded, who feels triggered a lot, who's struggling with shame, but who's also ready to become a manifestation boss, because that program takes you through that metamorphosis of healing, restoring, and then learning about manifestation and then becoming. And if right now money is your thing, then right, guys, the list is endless, right? My programs are incredible. I wouldn't have made them. I wouldn't get here on this podcast and talk about them because I genuinely believe they would change your life. But this is the point. Programming is required. Reprogramming is required. Some of the things in your programming, are they your fault? Absolutely fucking not. Did they get there by accident? Absolutely fucking not. Do you need to take responsibility to change them? Absolutely. So if you are ready to shift right now, then this is your opportunity. This is your time to look at not just what you do and the small habits you change every day in a practical sense. This is an opportunity to really look at what it is that you want, to really look at your honest and true desires, and then to really, really look at what programming you need to change in order to become the next level version of yourself, in order to become the successful, the growth, the transformation, the abundance, whatever the goal is that you have for your life, whatever the transformation you are seeking to make in 2024. So it isn't new year, same you, and it is new year, new you. The programming is the place you must look and do the work. And on that note, and I can't sing, used to be able to sing, fun fact for you, but pretty sure years of just not singing knocked it out of me. My brother and sister are hyper talented. So on that note, at the time of dropping this, it is the 1st of December. 1st of January. It's the 1st of January 2024, and the 6-week shift is open for enrollment. So enrollment will close on the, I want to get this date right, 24th of January. On the 24th of January, there are only 10 spaces available for the 6-week shift. The 6-week shift is my one-to-one intensive coaching program with a course that goes with that. And like I said, it's ready for people who are ready to go and grow, step into their power, drive things to the next level, and step into their honest authenticity. Of course, there's some elements of healing in there. Of course, there's sections around manifestation in there. But this is the only program where I offer the one-to-one coaching with me. So let me go through some of the FAQs. So the first thing is, a lot of people say, does it have to be exactly 6 weeks? It's not. I allow a window of 12 weeks. So we can do the first few calls back to back, like weekly. So we get to know each other. We build that level of trust. And then we can kind of spread them out bi-weekly from module 3, because the modules do get bigger as we go. There is more work for you to do. And then also you'd often have more light bulbs when there's a little bit of gap in time. So the 6-week shift is 6 modules over 6 weeks. I drop them weekly, but obviously the calls spread out a little bit further than that. So you get 6 modules. You also get 6 bonuses. Some of them are dropped right at the beginning, so you get access to those on enrollment, even if we haven't dropped the first module, because the first module won't be dropped until the 15th of January. So we drop the first module, you work on it for a week, then we start the calls. But those bonuses are dropped on enrollment. So the second that you decide to enroll for the program, that you get those bonuses. And there's one final bonus that gets dropped right at the very end of the program, because I know you've done the growth to be able to understand the message that I drop in that final bonus. So you've got 6 bonuses, 6 modules, 6 one-to-one 1-hour calls with me. For those people who are ready to grow and grow, they're ready to step into their power, they are ready to shift into their authenticity in 2024. There are 10 spaces available. There is a one-off pay in full. The pay in full bonus, if you decide to pay in full, is an extra coaching call with me that you can have up to 3 months after the course ends, because you go through that intensive period where we're working together. You want to go and get the work done, and then that bonus call is available for you to book in with 3 months of the course program ending, or you have the option to pay at the time of recording this, like I said, 1st of January on a 4-month payment plan. If you sign up at kind of the end of January, if let's say you're a latecomer, then there is the option for a 3-month payment plan. But there is still a payment plan available. I'm a big believer in payment plans. I've used them my whole life. They, for me, are a great way to energetically get behind investing in yourself, especially if it's something you haven't done before, especially if it's something that you're kind of like, oh, that feels like a big jump. Then there is the option for a payment plan. And don't forget, all courses with me are business expenses. So if you run a business or program with me, I can drop you an invoice afterwards, and they are all expensible on business expenses. So if you are ready to shift in 2024, you know where I am. You can check out the full program at lucysuperfox.com/6 if you want to get hold of the free training, so the free shifting training, what it's going to take to shift fully in 2024. You can access that at lucysuperfox.com/shifting. Oh my God, what a mouthful. So remember, it is not going to be a new you in this new year. It is going to be a new year and the same you unless you do the inner work to shift the programming, to transform the inner narratives, beliefs, and stories, and then in turn, your outward action, your outward energy, and your outward results. So I hope this resonated. I hope it helped. I love you all so much. This was the way that I see it, and I'll see you on the next episode.